This is Gemara Baba Basra, Daf Chof Tes. We began the Perek Cheskes Habatim. Today is another famous day in Daf, as unfortunately we lost Rashi, the ultimate Rebbe of Klal Yisrael. As if you're looking at the Daf in front of you, you'll see that in Rashi it says Ad Kan Pirush Rashi Zatzal Mikan Ve'eloch Pirush Rabbi Nishmol Bar Meir, which of course is the Rashbam. And the reason being is because this was the last point that Rashi wrote. If you look at the side, some people write, Kan Meis Rashi Zal. This year Rashi was nifter. Unfortunately, he was not able to finish his magnum opus, Rashi Al Shas, and we have the Rashbam. But we're in the middle of trying to figure out what is the Makar for the din of Chazakah. Cheskes Habatim, the Mishnah began yesterday teaching us a Chazakah is 3 years. And we tried to figure out what is the Makar. So the whole Chayusha, which are most notably Rabbi Yishmael, learned it out from Shar Hamuad. And Rabbi Yishmael, who holds it doesn't need a full 3 years, it's Gevaldik. But we're in the middle of trying to figure out what about the Chachamim, who hold it does need 3 years. So in Chavtesam and Aleph, 5 lines down, Ela Amai Rava, comes along Rava, and he says, Shata Kamaisa Mechal Inish. Tarti Mechal Tlas Loy Machal. Says Rava, we could call it a svara. For 1 year, someone's in your field. No, we leave him there. The second year, Nachamol, you're Michael. Tlas, the third year, Loy Machal. And therefore, if he's in your field for 3 years and you didn't say anything, therefore he has a chazakah. Amr le Abaye, he asks Abaye to Rav Elameyata ki adrara tihadar levar mi beiri. Says Abaye, let's say after 2 years, the owner protests, so it goes back to the owner. So what should go back? What should go back is not the payrois, because you just told me for the first 2 years he was Michael. But what's the problem? Alam Amr Rav Nachman adrara v'hadra beiri. Rav Nachman holds that everything should go back. Elo my Rava, so rather Rava comes along and Rava gives a second attempt, a third attempt for us, as we had Rabbi Yishmael the whole Chayusha, and after Rabbi Yishmael the whole Chayusha, we had Rav Yosef, Sadus Bakesef Yiknu. Now comes along Rava and says, Rava, new svara. Shasaka Maisa like kapit in it. It's not that you're Michael. You're just not makbid. Tarti like kapit. It's last year kapit. But then Avadu, when you get it back, you're going to get it back with the pay rice. Amrle Abaye, 12 lines down. The first one is Abaye Alameyatik Yonani Dveir Bar Al Yashiv. These people of the Al Yashiv family, Tekapti, who are makbid afilu aman decholv hamitri didu, and even one who walks on their field to drop. If it's all about akpada, so you're going to tell me a normal person, 1 year is not makbid, 2 years is not makbid, the third year is makbid. But now if we have a family that we know is makbid on a dat, and they aren't makbid, someone walks in their field, they don't say anything, are you going to tell me, as a Abaye to Rava, that right away there's going to be a chazakah? And Abaye anticipates and says, if you're going to tell me, hachanami, yeah, there's a chazakah right away. That's very shver. Everything is subjective to each party. So Ela my Rava has attempt number 3. What is a chazakah? Rava working within the world of svara. Ela my Rava says, Rava, shasaka ma'isa mizdayir inish. The first year, a person is careful with the star of the field, b'shtari. Tarti utlas mizdahir. For 2-3 years, he's also careful. Tfi loy mizdahir. More than the third year, he's not careful. So in the first 3 years, if the owner says, what are you doing here? If he really bought it, he'll have a star. After that, he won't. So that's why it's a chazak after 3 years, because that's when he's not makbid anymore to keep his star. Amr le Abaye is still not content. Asks Abaye and Rav Elameyata machash lo b'fanav lo tavi macha. Protesting not in front of him should not work. Why? To Amar Lei, because the owner could say, the one in the field could say, if you were Meich in front of me, I would have been careful with my star. You weren't, so I wasn't careful with my star. Amar Lei, says Rav, and he answers no. The owner can say chavra islay, v'chavra the chavra islay. So makar number 2 of Rav is going to be years. So we have 2 Makairais, 4, there's 3 are Chazaka. We have Rava's final Makar, then one is careful for Shtar for 3 years. We have the original Alchei Usha, Rabbi Yishmael, that we equated to Shar Hamud. Amar Rav Huna, 10 lines from the wide line, Shleisha Shanim Sha'amru. The 3 years that we're discussing, Hu Sha'achlan Ritufais, it has to be in consecutive years. It can't be a year 1, year 5, etc. My Kamashlan says, what's the Chiddush? And we learn says the Gemara, no, what does Yom Diyam mean? It has to be a full year, not cut up years. But I eat in your field year 1, year 3, year 5, full years is enough. Kamash and it has to be consecutive. Amar Rav Chama, but explains Rav Chama that Moidi Rav Huna is indeed Moide, that Ba'asa de Muvri Bagi, in a place where they leave the field fallow every other year, they plant every other year, that the chazaka is going to have to be every other year, because it has to be in a year that they're working the field. Says Gemara, of course, Pshita, Shkayach, obviously. There are those who plant consecutively, and there's those who plant skipping. V'hai Gavra, and this owner, Mavra, he used to skip. And this guy is in his field for 3 years straight, let's say. So I would have thought, I would have thought that the original owner could say, if it's true that it's yours, that you bought it from me, you should have planted it even in that middle year, not left it fallow. Kamashma, no, the Chiddush of Rav Huna is that he can say, all the valley, I don't do that. I skip years. So to plant one and all of them, that I cannot do. I wanted to work a different field that works more. So even though Rav Huna says Shalosh Shanim has to be consecutive, says the Gemara, but in a place in which they're working consecutively, then you'll be able to make chazaka in non-consecutive years. So how does it work? Having chazaka even at night time. It should have to be the you need to have a chazaka on the nights as well. Says Abaye, who testifies about people in the houses? Shivi, the neighbors. And guess what? Shivi made the other be Imam Balayla. They know that you're even there at night. Rav Amar, another pshat. Two people came. Amar Anana Grina Mine. 2 people came and said, we rented the house from him, but and we lived there for day and night. So we have actually a real chazaka, both by day and by night. Amar Le, Rav Yemer, the Rav Ashi, 1 second. According to Rava's Teretz, Hani Noigin Beidusane, they're Negev Eidos. Why? We're going to tell them Zilu Avalu Agar Beisalahai. Because if not, we're going to make them pay to the original guy. So they're Negev. How could they listen to their Eidos? Amarle, Daine Dishpili, Achedani. What are you talking about? Ignorant judges say this. Why? Are we not discussing Agar Beisa? They walk into Bez, they say, who should we give it to? And they explain that we're there by day and night, and that creates the chazaka. Omar Mar Zutra, going back to the din of Rav Huna, and the consecutive nature, the continuous nature necessary of the chazaka, says Mar Zutra, V'itayin v'amar leisi treisadi l'saudi lei the darbe. But let's say the original owner says, come, you bring me Eidim. Bring Eidim that the darbe tzlashran b'yom yom v'layla tainisa tainai. It's a good taina. If the original owner says, very nice, you've been there for 3 years, but I want proof that you were there even at nights, then it's a good taina. and you would have to get Eidim to show that he was there by day and by night. That's how Mar Zutra modifies this din of needing to be there consecutively. But says the Gemara as we turn over to Chavtes and Beis that even Mar Zutra is Maida Mar Zutra Baroichlan Machzir Bayarais. Peddlers that go from town to town, that even if the owner doesn't claim such that you weren't there, we, Bezdin, make the claim on his behalf that you need to have a raya. If you were traveling, then you need to have a raya that you were there by nights as well. Says the Gemara, Tanina Le'anan, we tiny it for him. And Umayde Ravuna b'chanuta in a store, the mechuza the lamama avida v'leila loy avida. And Ravuna is Umayde that we have a store that you don't use a store at night. Then you do not need to bring proof that you used it at night because it's the regular usage of the item. Similarly, Rabbi Bar Chama Baruch Bar Chama Zavan Ahi Amos Abadi Adadi. They bought a maidservant. Mar ishtamish bar rishayna shlish chamishes. One of them utilized it on the first, third, and the fifth year. Umar ishtamish shlish revius shishes on the second, fourth, and sixth year. Nafik ira ale, and ira came out that who says that this maidservant is yours? So Aslika made the Rav. They came in front of Rava Amar Lahu. My time avidtachi. What's the reason one of you utilized the maid years 1, 3, and 5, and the other one's 2, 4, and 6? The reason is keichi totes chaziku dadadi. So you don't have a chazaka against each other. Two people bought it, so if one of them used it for 3 years straight, then the other one never could get to Eved. If the other one used it for 3 years straight, then the other one can never get to Eved. Guess what? Unfortunately, now I'm the law of chazaka. So you don't have a chazaka, and the owner can say it's their Eved. It's good you had it for 6 years, but no one had it for 3 years straight. Says the Gemara, it's only if there's no contract. Of course, kala islay, and then you could use it, each one use it consecutively. So we're learning that as much as it's 3 years consecutive, there is the liberty to work things in their natural way. Only by Deo store, the maidservant, there was a reason to do this, but you need to have a shtar in order to prove it. We conclude, Amai Rava, we're smack in the middle of Chavtesim and Beis. Rava adds on a detail of Chazaka. Achla kulu chutz mi beis raiva. Let's say they utilize the entire field for 3 years except a certain area. Beis raiva, they don't kind of that area. Amar Ravuna Breder of Yeshua, what does this mean? If you could have planted in that area and you did it. If it was an area that you couldn't really plant, then you have a kinyan onto it because of the other lands that you were kinda. One second, how do you make a kinyan on a tsunma, on a hard field that you can't plant? Ella, so says the Gemara, you're right. You know how? You put your animals there. You utilize the karka not to grow with it, but you put your items there. And you allow your parents to dry there. In our case of the base, and therefore you would not have a kinyan on that base, even if you couldn't plant there unless you utilize it at some level. We'll pick it up from here. B'siyata dishmaya.